Now that he finds, I know we keep making excuses for him of this preparation, but 2,400 metres at a track he likes, on the wet going, he has to be given another chance.
Absolutely, and he has looked really well all the way through this campaign, so I can't knock him on his appearance. It's just he hasn't really found conditions to suit him, and things haven't really gone his way. So, as I said, he has looked well all the way through this campaign, and I'm not about to put a line through him on today's parade.
Number 2 is Mustagia. Nasrullah rides for Chris Lees, one of 3 for the stable.
Yeah, not disgraced, second up at 2,000 metres behind Master of Wine. This distance, third up. He's had the perfect prep for this style of horse, and I just can't get it out of my mind the ease of his first up win. So I reckon he's going really well, and if there's a threat to the favourite, it's probably him.
He's been just gradually improving throughout this campaign, so each run he's taken a fraction of improvement, and now you're getting him in at his peak fitness, and he looks incredibly well. He's actually put on a lot of condition, but that's more muscle than it is anything else, and he looks really big and powerful. So I'm also with you, Ronnie. I can't forget that the ease of his first up performance, and if he was to replicate something like that, he'd certainly be right in the finish.
All right, Nash will wear the checked cap on Mustagia. Dancer Terrier Brenton Avdulla will wear the white cap. Another one for Chris Lees.
Well, he's talented, we know that. He just hasn't done enough in his 2 Sydney runs to get a guide on. But the blinkers go on today, so maybe another chance. Still
for one more run, and you'll be seeing him at his absolute optimum. So even today, he'll run a lot better, but I still think that there's one more run that he needs, which is this one, just to get under his belt. And you'll see him probably placed in a different race, and he'll run a lot better.
Number 4, Southern France. Tom Marquand on board for Kieran Maher and David Eustace.
He's got very good overseas form, this fellow, and he was okay without raving first up in the Australian Cup. He's held in high regard by the stable. He stays well. They're going to be more forward today. That was a change of tactics, and it's not hard to get a tip for him.
Yeah, look, and he looks very well. So he's obviously a horse who is, as you said, very well performed in Europe, and he looks as though he is a lovely looking type. I never saw him parade previously, but this is my first time having a look at him, and he looks magnificent, so you might even get a tip out of me.
OK, we'll stand by. Mirage Dancer, Tommy Berry rides for Trent Busserton and Natalie Young.
The Caulfield Cup place, get a last preparation. This is his pet distance, not the worst.
Yeah, look, he's just starting to turn in his coat a little bit as well, but he is holding decent condition, so he's not the worst.
Mugger 2, number 6, Karen McAvoy, Chris Lees.
He's going to be ridden more a quieter ride for him today. He was gallant in defeat last week, beaten by a very promising stayer. Big rise here for such a young talent, or he's a 5-year-old, but such a talented, lightly raced horse. Weight for age, Group 1, 2,400. Geez, it'll be an effort if he can get the job done.
Yeah, he looked excellent last week. I thought that he was one of those horses that had built up and got a bit more physically stronger just through the fact that he'd built up more muscle definition, and I feel that he's exactly the same as he was last week. So he's probably just a little bit more settled in the yard, which is how you have to be when you step up and trip. But overall, a good parade, and I wouldn't expect him to run badly at all.
Angel of Truth, number 7, Glenn Boss riding for Gwenda Markwell.
Yeah, look, he battled away with conditions to suit last start. He's proven at 2,400 winning a derby, but just need to see him do more.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, he's obviously a horse that hasn't probably run up to his previous preparation, but he still has been turned out in great order. But I'd have to say there's a few others I do prefer.
Carriff, number 8, Timmy Clark for the Snowdens.
OK, second up at 2,000 metres. He's still yet to peak, this horse, but he's getting there. Close chance today, and he'll get better next time.
Yeah, gradually improving each run, isn't he? But he has turned out another one who's made a pretty significant improvement from their first up run into their second up run, and then therefore has improved again after today. So look, he should run well, and he's definitely a horse that I'll be looking for the future.
OK, now we go to the favourite, number 9, Very Elegant, James McDonald, up for Chris Waller.
Yeah, she's been outstanding at her past 2 starts without winning, mind you. It's taken Tiakau Shark and a Dabe to beat her. Only has to back up from last week's run to prove hard to beat. I just want to keep an eye on her going to the barrier. Talking to James this morning, he said, you know, when you're going to the barrier with this mare, if she settles and just canters round off the bit, you know you're cooking with gas. Sometimes she wants to fight, and then she'll do that in a race. So we'll try and get the camera on her going to the barriers.
Yeah, she's definitely a backup horse, isn't she? The fact that it gets her back down and just settles settles her and relaxes her. The way she wanders around the yard today is just indicative that she's going to race and settle well. She looks very similar to last week. She hasn't lost any condition. She's got a great coat on her and she seems quite settled and relaxed. So overall, everything's good at the moment, and we'll see how she goes down to the start.
OK, Chris Lee's 3 runners in the Tancred, a race you've said all 3-4. Let's start with Mustajir, who's coming off that, well, a win in the Parramatta Cup and a great second behind the Boom Horse Master of Wine.
That's right, yeah, he ran into a smart one last start and meets a good field today, but it's a race we've targeted for him. It was a logical race for him, 2,400 metres at weight for age, and very happy with how he's come through his 2 lead-up runs, and he gets here in good order.
And going back to the spring, his 1.5 mile run was excellent in the Caulfield Cup.
It was very good. I've got to say he's a lot more relaxed now, so I'm expecting him to race well today. What
about Dancer Terrier, a horse we're still trying to get a line on?
Sure, his European form would put him right in a race like this. Blinkers on, and everything would suggest he's going to be suited at the 1.5 mile, albeit he hasn't been tried there. But I couldn't fault him at home, just needs to bring that to the races now. OK, now Mugger 2 on the backup. He had a little bit of a mishap getting off the float? Yeah, nothing at all. He just got a bit fresh coming off the float, but he's fine. Big rise in class. I realise he's not well suited at weight for age at this stage of his career. That said, he's on the 7-day turnaround, which can help on these testing tracks, and tried him just to settle a little better, and given that opportunity, hopefully we'll see that turn of foot that he can show. Well,
last week's run surely will toughen any horse up. They really went to war, didn't they?
Yeah, really did, but he seems to have come out of it quite well.
What about in the next, the Vinery, a race you've already won, Game of Thorns?
Yeah, to be fair, look, the top 2 looked over mortgage on the race, but she's a really nice filly. She was good first up, strong without a great deal of luck at Kembla, and I expect she'll race really well and relish the 2,000 metres.
And just to comment on your 3 in the Emancipation, Invincible Gem, Miss Fabulous and Delectation Girl.
Invincible Gem will get the right run, better suited at set weights. Miss Fabulous, if she repeats a Coolmore run, puts her right in the race. And the Delectation Girl will just ride her for luck, and she's a genuine place hope.
Good luck, Chris.
Thank you, Greg.
Well, Very Elegant has turned up in very similar order to how she did last week, so you have to have her as your on-top selection. She looks absolutely fantastic. She's settled, relaxed, way she walked around the yard, so she goes on top. Southern France is a lovely-looking individual, so if you're looking for something at each way odds, I think he can run very well. And I know you're probably all going to laugh at me, but you have to put Avilius in because he has certainly turned up in good enough order, and he gets his preferred conditions today.
No, that's no laughing matter. He's very well fancied here. Villiers late, 9-2-1-6. There she is cantering there, no problems. He hasn't done much with her, but she's in good shape. The only little question mark, does she back up? I don't think there's enough evidence. As a 3-year-old, she's more mature now. Whoops, girl, hang on. She should be hard to beat. I'd love to see her just pop up third here and just relaxing and just show that sprint she showed at the end of 2000 last week. Dangers to Mustajir. Love the way he sets up here third up. Avilius, he wants them to just get at each other, and maybe with a horse like Southern French going more forward can help him. And 6, Mugger 2. Lovely animal. A lot to do though. 9-2-1-6, Glenn.
Yeah, well, she's out to $2.15. Very Elegant. The best that she's been today. She did get to as much as $2.20. She's $2.10 on the NOP. She did get into as short as $2. NOP's got into odds on at different stages there, but $2.10 at the moment. So $2.15 with Tab. Very Elegant here. Avilius at $5.50. He's been $5.50, $5.50. Mustajir as much as $8.50, now $7. Mugger 2 got out from $7.50, touch 10, is now $9.50. Southern France, 13, got into 11, back to 12. Mirage Dancer, 14, got to 18, back to 15. Angel of Truth, got to 34, now 21. Carif out to 41, and Dancer Tira Friendless out to $41. Vast majority of the money, well over half the hold on the race today, is on Very Elegant here, but nearly the best she's been at any stage during the day, Greg. $2.15 here for the Tancred.
Yes, Glenn, the Tancred Stakes, sponsored by Kia. They're moving up into the gates at the 1.5 miles. And normally in front of that huge crowd, they'd all be gathering around that barrier to watch the start of a race. There's Carif coming up. So, Duff, great race ahead of us. This is a beauty.
Glenn Boss holds the key to this race on Angel of Truth. Does he go slow and set it up for the sprint home for Very Elegant, or does he make it a staying test up front? That'll help your Mustajirs, Avilius. So, interesting tactics because he's the only leader here, G-Boss.
Group 1, Kia, Tancred Stakes. Here's Darren.
So they're ready now for the Kia Tancred Stakes, and the gates are back. They're off. Very Elegant has only begun fairly there. Other than that, Cariff jumped well, set in Mirage Dancer. Pretty handy Angel of Truth rolling forward. Close to the inside is Mustajir, and wide out, the deepest is Southern France. So Very Elegant's going to drop right back behind that pack. She's a bit keen as usual. A couple off then to Avilius, followed by Mugger 2, who's gone down to the fence, and Dancer Tira's last of all. So Boss takes Angel of Truth to the front, turning out of the straight. Southern France is the one to go and sit outside. Then Mirage Dancer leaders back third, and Cariff fourth, one out, one back. A length further back to Mustajir, 2.5 lengths into the short favourite, Very Elegant. 2 further back to Mugger 2 on the rails, and the last in front of last year's winner Avilius, and 2 last of all is Dancer Tira, who'd be about 8 lengths off the lead. They've got a mile to run here, and it's Angel of Truth a half in front to Southern France. Then came Mirage Dancer, well positioned. A length the outside to Cariff. 2 further back to Mustajir. No change to the order. Very Elegant taking slightly closer order now on the outside of Mustajir. Then came Mugger 2 from Avilius, and 2 off to Dancer Tira's last of all. So down the back they go, and last season's Derby winner shows the way, Angel of Truth for G-Boss in the saddle, and they're at the halfway mark now. Southern France a half length away, and Dancer Tira's taken off from back in the field. Brenton Abdullah's come from last and goes to the front now, and Dancer Tira at the 1,000 metres draws out by 2.5 on Angel of Truth, Southern France. Then came Mirage Dancer. Cariff dropped back a little bit from Mustajir. Boy, the favourite gets well back now, Very Elegant. She's third last in the race from Mugger 2, and last year's winner Avilius last, 7.50 out, and Dancer Tira having made that move from last to first, maintains a big lead down the side. Dancer Tira at the 600, 3 lengths clear. Angel of Truth is flat to the boards. Then came Mirage Dancer. Wider out, Very Elegant tries to get going with Southern France. Cariff in a tricky spot from Mugger 2, and Avilius is last. Dancer Tira keeps up the gallop at the 350. 2 or 3 lengths in front of Mustajir. Now Very Elegant starting to wind up on the outside. Well, look at it come into it. Very Elegant in a stride. She pounced on the front. 250 out. Avilius looks the only danger, but Very Elegant 2.5, 3 lengths clear now. Oh, what a mighty performance by Very Elegant. She won the Vinery last year. A cheeky peep by James McDonald, and a well-earned pat down the neck. Very Elegant won it easily from Mustajir and Avilius. I'd say they've gone that way for second and third. Then came Mirage Dancer from Cariff. Further back to Mugger 2, Angel of Truth. Dancer Tira made it interesting, and Southern France couldn't stand the pressure there and finished last.
Well, no cheering on track, but everyone can just sit back wherever you're watching this race from and just admire that performance by Very Elegant. One of the easiest wins you'll see. James McDonald wins his 3rd Tancred Stakes. Chris Waller his 2nd. And Very Elegant the 2nd time out to 1.5 miles, and she destroys the opposition. Mustajir and Avilius heads up and heads down when they get to the line. Oh, almost a dead heat. There may be a margin to Mustajir. The judge will call it.
Yeah, well, if you're looking at the last 100 metres of that race, take the short price, no worries. But if you can confidently tell me you weren't worried at some stage during that race that mare might have been in trouble, I think you'd be telling a few porkies, because just little things that didn't happen for her, but she was just lethal there at the finish. Run the 1.5 miles, run it right out as a 4-year-old, can't back up. You're kidding. Unbelievable. Mustajir looked a real hope on the point of the turn when he burst through there along the inside, but this mare, and then for one stride you would have thought Avilius was going to come at him, but what form she's in. I know she's been beaten at a couple of runs back, but that was just outstanding.
Well, she won the Vinery on this day last year, and she returns 12 months to the day later and wins the big one, the Tancred Stakes. And of course she is an Oaks winner. That was just beautiful to watch today as James McDonald coming back to scale. Well done, Chris. Congratulations on Group 1 win 109, and they wouldn't have come much easier than that.
Yeah, it might look like that, but no, it's been a big effort for the whole stable. to get a horse like her to settle as well as she's doing, so the rider's at home and just people taking it quietly because she's quite a highly revved horse. And full credit to James, and she's obviously a great horse, and we haven't had her over this distance very often, but each time we have, she's just been dominant, so very special win.
So Chris, has it just been time and patience to get her to the state she's in?
She was here last year running in an Oak, so I think she won the Vinery the next race a year ago. So she's been everywhere, but she's still getting better, and that's the beauty of stayers. She's only 4, racing against the older horses basically, and she's just a genuine athlete at a staying trip.
Have you thought about what's next for her? Because I mean, that's as good as any grand final.
I guess Caulfield Cup would be high on our radar, and even a Melbourne Cup. So let's hope we get weighted as well as some of the other horses from around the world, and they just keep giving the Australian horses a chance, and she'll be there and she'll be one of them.
Okay, but that's it for her this autumn.
Not sure. If today's race wasn't among the circumstances we're in, I probably would have gone to the Queen Elizabeth. But who knows? It's tough times at the moment, and I think everybody here today has been so responsible, as have the stable staff. They're doing a fantastic job, and we're worried about our own safety and health as well as the rest of Australia, but we're showing that we can put on a responsible show and keep everybody interested at home.
Thanks, Chris. Well done.
Thanks.
Winning jockey James McDonald, he gets his Group 1 here today on Very Elegant, who wins the Tancred. So it's been a big day for this girl. Last year winning the Vinery as a 3-year-old filly, where she returns as a 4-year-old mare to win the time-honoured Tancred Stakes, which has been won by champions down through the years. Here's Lizzie with J-Mac.
Well done, James. Well, she is a mare that shows great promise and great potential early on in her preparation, but that's probably got to be her best win that we've seen to date.
Yeah, absolutely. She was a star today. Obviously probably thought it would be outside the lead, but she felt better coming off the speed, to be honest with you. But that's how adaptable, how much she's grown as a mare, and hopefully we're only going to reap the rewards now, what she's done as a bonus, and what I felt today was just extraordinary.
Was there any point in the race where you felt a little bit nervous? Because watching it was a little bit tough to watch at times.
It felt really good until about the 1400 to the 1200. I felt like all of a sudden she got really keen, and I thought, what's going on? Is there something clipping my heels? And then all of a sudden one went round 100 miles an hour, and she thought it was go time then, but she come back really nice, and she just showed a customary turn of foot, and on that ground she just gets through it so well.
Who needs a crowd?
I feel so good now.
Well done.
Win number 109 for Chris Waller in Group 1's. J-Mac chalks up number 45 in his career. That's the Tancred. The Vinery's next.